Boom. Whoa, we were way off there. But welcome back, everybody. Yeah, we're never on time with that. But welcome back, everybody. Today is another college football episode. We are having some technical issues, so hopefully this goes smoothly. But welcome back to another episode. If you have not seen our latest post on Instagram, today will be college football, and today will be our picks of Week 1. Unfortunately, Cervensky was not able to make it for this episode. Hopefully for Week 2 or for the NFL Week 1, we shall have him. But as of right now, we do not have Cervensky for this week. We do have me and Sam. So you have us. So I did say that when we came to this episode, I'd explain how our system is going to work for NCAA football. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. But since we're having technical issues, I'm just going to kind of speed through it. So we're going to go to the shockers of the week. I'll explain this as I go through. My shocker of the week pick is Ole Miss and Louisville. Ole Miss is Ole Miss is favored by 10 points. I'm taking Louisville to knock off the Running Rebels. So, if you guys don't know how the line works, line basically just means what the people in Las Vegas think that one team will beat another by. So, Ole Miss is projected to beat Louisville by 10. So Las Vegas people think that Ole Miss will win by 10 points. Whether that's 30, 20, 17, 7, I don't care. 10 points. And so for shockers of the week, how we're going to do it, it's going to be based off of line. If the shocker of the week has to be either 5 points or more, and you'll get points based on how much they're favored by. So if Louisville were to beat Ole Miss, I'll get 10 points. So that's my pick, though. That's a Labor Day night. 8 o'clock, I believe, ESPN. If you want to go ahead and watch that. Should be a fun game overall. I'm really excited to watch that. I do have Cervensky's upset for the week this week, which is San Jose State to beat USC. USC is favored by 14. So if he gets this one, he'll get 14 points. That's a hefty total. I did think about taking Tennessee to lose to Bowling Green when I saw that Joe Milton was named their starting quarterback, but I held off on that. So, Sam, I don't actually have his yet, but I'm about to hear now. We're all about to hear now. So, Sam, fire away.
Yes. The revelation of knowledge I am about to give you is... I'm going with... so I'm going to head over as well as Cervensky. I'm going over BYU.
Ooh.
At the Vegas Kickoff Classic over on Saturday night. BYU is favored by 12.5 points. So I'm going pretty much right between you and Cervensky. You had 10 points with Louisville over Cervensky had 14 with San Jose State over USC. I really think Arizona has been disrespected, especially in this game. I know BYU's got some talent, but I think Arizona's going to make this a lot closer of a game than most people think, and they're going to be at Allegiant Stadium, my Raiders home stadium now, and I think this is going to be a pretty exciting game to watch. If you got no night plans, like on a Saturday night, this is one of the things. Plus, I don't know what time Clemson, Georgia is.
Clemson, Georgia will be 7:30 ABC. We'll be talking about that game later on. It will be 10. Let me see, 10:30 ESPN if you want to watch it. 10:30 on ESPN. So yeah, if Sam gets that one, he'll get 12.5 points. I thought about that one myself, but I once again held off. I went with the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. So Now we head to our normal picks of the week. This is just going to be pretty simple. You win. If you get it right, you get a win. You get it wrong, you get a loss. That's really simplistic. So we have a lot of these to go through. A couple non-ranked, a couple ranked games. The first one is a ranked game, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it in right now. So Cincinnati will beat Miami, Ohio. I don't think there's really much of a question there. Cincinnati will be a unique team this year. I think they're definitely looking to build upon what they had last season. I think they will pretty much handle Miami, Ohio. I think, Sam, you'll say the same thing.
Oh, yeah. They're a 23-point favorite over Miami, Ohio. They're at home. Miami doesn't know what they're walking into.
Yeah, Miami, Ohio has got a daunting task ahead of them. And if you want to watch it, it'll be 3:30 on ESPN Plus. I'll go ahead and do it for Stravinsky as well. I think he's going to be on board with both of us. And so now the next one is also going to be.
Cincinnati's got something to prove this year.
Huh?
Cincinnati's got something to prove this year.
Right. What I'm going to do all these weeks is I'm going to put the really non-competitive games at the top, and then the farther down we go, the more competitive they're all going to get. So these first few are going to be really easy. Next one is Iowa State versus Northern Iowa. Now, Iowa State does tend to play down to their competition. This is also Northern Iowa, so Iowa State will win easily, at least in my opinion. I head over to Sam. I believe you'll probably say the exact same thing.
Iowa State. I'm just kind of curious, why is Iowa State?
Well, they had a good year last year, and everyone loves Breece Hall and crap. What's the name of their quarterback? They love him too. Everyone likes their quarterback. Anyway, so I'll pick Iowa State for Stravinsky as well. I don't think he's going to disagree with us. Next one is Texas A&M versus Kent State. Once again, I don't think there's much question here. I think the Aggies take this one no problem whatsoever. Sam, I'm guessing same thing.
Yep, 28.5-point favorite over Penn State. They're supposed to compete with Alabama this year in the SEC. So we'll start with Kent State.
Yeah, I think this will be. Whoops, I'm on the wrong side here. I think this will be very, very simple for Texas A&M. Next one, could be interesting, maybe, and that'll be Notre Dame versus Florida State. This will actually be at Doak Campbell at Florida State. Don't know how long it'll be called Doak Campbell because they want to change it now, but Florida State versus Notre Dame versus Florida State. Sorry, that will be the Sunday night game. It'll be 7:30 on ABC if you guys want to watch it. It could be interesting, but I don't really see how Notre Dame blows this one unless Jack Cohn becomes their starter and ends up being a bum like we already saw at Wisconsin. But Sam, over to you.
Yep. Like you said, could be interesting. It's going to be a night game. It's in Florida State. You know they're going to have a chop, pretty much. And then Notre Dame will take the air out of the stadium and come away with a comfortable victory in the league over Florida State.
Yeah, you would think so. Like I said, could be interesting, likely not. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for Stravinsky. I think he will agree with us. However, could be interesting, but Florida State's just so bad it likely won't be. Next one is Oklahoma versus Tulane. Now, just today, this was supposed to take place in Tulane. Obviously, because of Hurricane Ida, things have been moved all out of New Orleans. The Saints are now practicing in Dallas. So yeah, you might see some Saint players around, Sam. But right. So everything's being moved out of New Orleans, and Tulane is moving their game from Tulane to Norman, Oklahoma. Our prayers are with everyone in the Louisiana area, the New Orleans area. Obviously, not a good situation for anybody over there. Our thoughts and our prayers are with you guys. But Oklahoma versus Tulane. I'm sorry, Tulane. It ain't happening. Oklahoma is about to smack the crap out of Tulane. Too good an offense, too good a team. Tulane doesn't have any kind of talent to be able to compete with it. Oklahoma big over you.
Tulane the name. I don't think this Oklahoma offense and really together of defense. Oklahoma has been known for offense, high-scoring games, but over the past couple of years, their defense is starting to step up and they're starting to become a more complete team. Tulane's just an opening game for them, and
Yep, and they'll probably be the same thing for Srbenski as well, so I'll pick that for him. Now, this game will be the noon game on ABC, so you'll get to hear Gus Johnson calling this one for you guys.
are you sure about
Should be. He always does the noon games.
ABC?
Oh, whoops. Nope. Nope, he won't be doing that one. Never mind.
I think he'll be in Stadium.
Yeah, he'll be doing Penn State, Wisconsin. Ignore me. But you got next one on here is Oregon versus Fresno State. This one keeps coming out. Oregon versus Fresno State. The Ducks are too good a team to lose this one. I'm taking the Ducks, especially at home. The Austin Zoo is very hard to play at. Fresno State isn't bad, but Oregon's much better. Over to you, Sam.
Yeah, Fresno State looked pretty impressive in their first win against UConn. They beat UConn 45-0 at home, but it was UConn, and that was at home. So it's gonna be certainly tough for those Bulldogs. They're gonna go into a rowdy Oregon State. They're probably gonna be rattled immediately from the start. Oregon looks like they have, as opposed to the past couple years, they've been kind of flat, which has been enough to be actually good in the Pac-12. Unfortunately, the Pac-12 has dropped over the past couple of years, but I really do see Oregon getting this first W, getting by Fresno State pretty easily, even with Fresno State's first win.
Yeah, that's about last week. I'll put in for Srbenski too. He'll be on board with us likely. But Fresno State, their last game, I think. I saw it on Instagram, but there was something about like them having to keep their cleats or something on the sideline or like under fans because they were melting in the Fresno State heat. That's how hot it was during the Fresno State game. They had to keep it under fans so that the cleats would not melt in the heat in the stadium. That is absurd, people. I mean, it's been hot over here a little bit, but that's ridiculous. Oh, yes, and in Dallas, and of course, Srbenski lives in Arizona, which is the desert. So, yeah. But we move on to the next one, which is Florida versus Florida Atlantic. The Florida Atlantic no longer has Lane Kiffin. Even if they had Lane Kiffin, it doesn't matter. The Gators are about to... You know what I'm about to do. that's about to happen to FAU come Saturday. And Sam, I'm guessing the same thing.
Owls.
The Owls, yeah.
Pluck off the parasites and bugs of the alligators in between their teeth of the alligators, and the alligators typically don't down on those birds that help them get rid of parasites. Well, Saturday is going to be this alligator and this bird because literally from the get go, like you said, chop. They're done for. Atlantic doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty big wipeout, and I'm going to say that Srebensky is on board with us. If he disagrees with anything that I'm putting in here, I will change it later, but I doubt he is. So the next one, I will not pick this one for Srebensky because I don't know really what he's going to pick. But Oregon State versus Purdue. This is our first non-ranked game of the week. This could be a good game. Honestly, this could be a fun one. Could be interesting. Purdue will be at home for this one. If you want to see it, I believe it is 7 o'clock on Fox Sports 1, if I'm correct. Yes, it's on Fox Sports 1 at 7 o'clock. If you want to see no one wants to see the Florida game. Never mind. Oregon Purdue, Oregon State Purdue. It could be a good game. I'm gonna go Big Ten. Big Ten bias here. I'll take Purdue. They are the home team, and I think they're a little bit better. So I'll take the Boilermakers to outlast the Beavers at home. Sam?
Yeah, this game. So they're favored by a touchdown, and I really could see this coming down to being a touchdown game, literally coming down to the end where either one of these teams are going to have a drive, stop, the win. I think just because the history that you know about Oregon State, they're not the greatest team, especially Pac-12. I know they've been improving over recent years, but they got to go to Purdue. They got to face the time change. They got to face just being in Pac-12, Big Ten. It's good to see Pac-12, Big Ten playing against each other because it's always good to see conference that are garnered between certain teams. So, and this is just an interesting game. It'll be an interesting game to watch. I think Purdue will pull it off, though. Send the line.
All right, and I'll leave it blank for Srebensky. He'll probably pick Purdue, but just because I'm not sure, I'll leave it as is. I'm definitely not picking this one for him. Maryland, West Virginia versus Maryland. The Terps will be at home for this game. This is going to be a dogfight. I am very excited to see this one. This one will be 3:30 on ESPN. This is definitely one I'm going to be watching. Now, if you guys don't know me, I stream a million games at a time, so I'm going to be seeing like pretty much every single game possible. So yes, I will be watching Michigan versus Western Michigan at 12 o'clock. No, it is not on this list. If it was, we would all be picking Michigan. So there's no point in even putting it on here. Same with the Spartans. If I put the Spartans on here, we would all take Northwestern. So there's no point in putting that on here. But,
just a tad bias there.
Just a tad. Just a tad. That's why I didn't bother putting it in. Now, Michigan and Washington will put it in next week because that's a really big game. And who knows, I might actually pick Washington. But I think this is going to be a very, very fun game. West Virginia, Maryland, kind of the same level. I think West Virginia is a little bit better of a team, but Maryland's got home field advantage. I think this will be an absolute dogfight. I'm going to give it to the West Virginia Mountaineers, though. I think they'll just pull out. They don't exactly have a great defense, but Maryland doesn't exactly have a great team overall. So I'm taking West Virginia to slip out with a very close win over Maryland.
Mitchell here, but he's literally picking the teams that I'm picking. Yeah. You look at this is Big 12 versus Big 10 in West Virginia and Maryland. And this game going either way because this is a close game, really, in proximity of the teams, distance-wise. West Virginia and Maryland, their states are right next to each other, and they're relatively small states. So it's a close game, so not going to be too much of home field advantage. I feel like it could go 50-50 in that way. I'm sure Maryland will try to drown out the Mountaineer fans, but really, I think they just have too potent of an offense, really. Because all I remember from West Virginia is just offense. It's continuous. It's offense on the West Virginia side, and I don't think Maryland is enough to step it up and keep up with West Virginia. So I think West Virginia will pull off the win. They are favored by 2.5 this week as well.
Yeah, and this is also a renewal of a rivalry between these two teams. They are rivals. This is the first time they are playing each other since 2015. So definitely, I think it'll be very, very fun. I'm not picking it for Stravinsky. Don't know what he's going to pick for this one. Now we got San Jose State on the road against USC. Now, this is the one where Stravinsky ended up taking San Jose State as his upset pick. Now, if you pick if one of the games in here is also your upset pick, you don't necessarily have to take that team in the picks as well. So you have freedom to pick whoever you want, which is why I'm going to leave it blank for him, but he might just take San Jose State anyway. Me personally, taking the Trojans. You're at home. I don't have faith in San Jose State, really.
You know they're both the the Spartans, not the Trojans.
Yeah, San Jose State's the Spartans. But I'm taking USC to win. I'm going with red and gold. I don't really have faith in USC either, but it's San Jose State. I don't think they'll have much of a problem with this one. Definitely home, especially since it's home field. And also being a big-time game, I think they'll win it pretty handily. Over to you, Sam.
Yeah. I saw Jose State over USC. So I don't his name, but then I don't see everything at the same time. I only see 12 out west. They got a win under their belt already. That's already a good start. But it's almost the same situation with Fresno State, honestly. San Jose State might be a little bit better of a team compared to Fresno State, and they will play each other because they're both in the Mountain West. So we'll get to see that matchup. But I really think this is just start off game. There's those games sometimes at the beginning of the year. There's just a bunch of shockers usually. There's usually a bunch of shockers in week 1, week 2, and then move on from there and then see all of college football flip upside down, and oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? No, wait, there's Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson. Yeah, we don't need to worry about that. All the lower teams, the more susceptible to upsets. Maybe later. Probably later on in the year. I don't see it to San Jose State.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you there. It could be interesting. Unfortunately, this is not a national game. This is 5 o'clock on the Pac-12 network. So unless you somehow have the Pac-12 network or you want to go on like VIP box or something to watch it, those are the only ways you'd really be able to see the game.
How random is that? A 5 p.m. game? Like, it's not 1, it's not 4, it's not 7, it's 5.
That's the Pac-12 for you. Now we go to the next one, which is Ohio State on the road against Minnesota. This is a Thursday night game, and this one will be 8 o'clock on Fox. I do not believe Gus Johnson is doing this game. But this should be really interesting. Obviously, next week is going to be a big week for Ohio State as they have their home opener against the Oregon Ducks, which is exactly why I see this being a giant trap game for the Buckeyes. I mean, you add up all the different odds here. You got Ohio State in their season opener against a down Minnesota team from the past few years. Don't have exactly what they did before, but they're going on the road, at Minnesota. Not going to be easy game, but possibility maybe the Buckeyes are looking ahead to next week. I'm still picking the Buckeyes, obviously, to beat Minnesota, but I do think that this could be a really good game. I think it'll be closer than people think it will be. It'll be definitely one to watch. Then again, Ohio State could just blow out the Gophers, but it could be really fun. But over to you, Sam.
Yeah, just like Michigan and Minnesota last year, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the Buckeyes will manage. They will manage Minnesota. Play with it, but I don't think they'll. I think they will manage, keep their distance from Minnesota, and just overall, just handle business where business is handled. It may not look the prettiest.
Business as usual.
But they don't need to look the prettiest until next week against Oregon. They can afford to look sloppy against this Minnesota team. They can afford the mistakes against this Minnesota team because they know they can still get the victory. I agree, this could potentially be a huge trap game for them. But I don't think it will. I just don't see these trap games don't happen that often until Ohio State. They play to their competition and they end up blowing them out in the second half. Usually they would have like people like Illinois, Rutgers, whatever. They would hang around in the first half, and then they would literally just run away with the game in the second half. I see that potentially happening in this game too, Minnesota. But you never know.
I took the liberty of picking Ohio State for Serbensky as well. I'm guessing he'll go alongside with us. Next one is the All-State Kickoff Classic. This will be Stanford versus Kansas State. This is actually at AT&T Stadium. This is a game that Sam might attend, maybe, he could anyway. But Stanford versus yeah, it is. Yeah, but Stanford versus Kansas State. This should be another interesting game. If you want to see this one, this I believe is a noon game on Fox Sports 1, if I am correct. Yes, it is. 12 o'clock on Fox Sports 1 come Saturday. Should be a really, really fun one. I'm going to pick Stanford just slipping by the Wildcats in what will be a very closely contested game. Pac 12 versus the Big 12 could be interesting. Big 12 is in shambles right now, but it could be it. It should be a good one. Should be a very, very close game.
Yeah. If I was the Big 12, not Texas or Oklahoma, I would be extremely angry right now. Those other teams, they'd be like, okay, kind of part of us. How long? And you just want to jump ship just like that, just to try to get some better competition, more money, more ratings, more everything, just because you're the SEC, the best conference, clearly, the best conference, college football. But they're there for all sports, right? Not just football.
Yeah, they're moving for everything.
Okay, yeah. But I think the rest of the Big 12 has something to prove now. Now that Texas and Oklahoma is jumping ship, so I think Kansas State will use that as motivation. They'll use it. They're in Jerry's world as motivation. They'll be closer to home for them than Stanford per se. It'll be a big game, a great start for the season for both these teams. They're unranked. They're looking for something to improve. And pick Kansas State. I will pick Kansas State. I will go opposite of this time. Pick Kansas State to pull this one off by a field goal.
Yeah, I could totally see this one going either way. Either one can win. I just give Stanford the edge because of the talent pool, and I'm not going to pick it for Srebensky because, well, I don't know what he would pick. But we now go to the Chick-fil-A to the other, well, one of two Chick-fil-A kickoff games. This one is my upset pick, which will be the Labor Day night game, Louisville versus Ole Miss. I took Louisville for my upset pick, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to take the Cardinals to knock off Ole Miss. As I said before on our last video, before it got cut out because of technical problems, I don't have faith in Ole Miss. I mean, Lane Kiffin is now the new head coach at Ole Miss, but there's one thing about the popularity of Mr. Lane Kiffin. He's only popular because he talks a crack ton of smack. And always talks a lot of smack with Nick Saban. I mean, yeah, you got you to Ole Miss, but is it really going to do you much else? I mean, yeah, you're a great coach at Florida Atlantic. So can anybody else, seriously. I mean, I'm sure he had some decent talent, and I'm sure Florida Atlantic wasn't exactly a bad team, but when you go from a team like Florida Atlantic and Conference USA, and then you go to a conference known as, well, something called the SEC, it's a bit different. Now, this should be a interesting challenge for Ole Miss, considering Louisville isn't exactly at their top point either. They're a far cry from their Lamar Jackson days. But Louisville, I think, has got a decent team. They always tend to have a decent overall team. Always ends up being 6-6, 5-7, even 7-5. So I see Louisville being able to slip by the Ole Miss running Rebels, I believe.
Well, opposite of you again. I will pick Ole Miss for this one, just because Ole Miss always has a great offensive receiving core. I know that, and as long as they have a quarterback that can throw a ball remotely well, I think they got a good shot against this Louisville team. Because, well, and we'll see with that Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban battle in Week 4, as early as Week 4. Ole Miss and Alabama play. It is at Alabama, so Lane Kiffin will have to go back home to the playground. But I think Ole Miss takes this one against Louisville, and don't really have too much explanation. I just really don't think Louisville is capable of showing up in primetime games. You remember Lamar Jackson against Clemson down in Death Valley, and then just other games in general. Just think primetime just gets to Louisville. And Ole Miss really hasn't been in primetime too much, but I'm taking Ole Miss.
All right, now I'll leave it blank for Srebensky. He'll tell me his picks for the week later, before week 1 starts, before Thursday. And speaking of Thursday games, we have another one right here, which is Boise State versus UCF. This is going to be another really good one. Like I said, there's a lot of really good games this week. There's a lot of really fun ones to watch. Boise State versus UCF is definitely one of them. This is another non-ranked game. I believe this is no, this is not the last one. There's still one more. But Boise State versus UCF, the Golden Knights, I believe it is. The Golden Knights are at home for this one, and that is solely why I am taking UCF to knock off Boise State. Now that they got Gus Malzahn as their new head coach, I think he's a good head coach. I love that for UCF. Boise State overall always tends to have a decent overall team. But I think with home field advantage and and Gus Malzahn looking to prove something, UCF will take this one in a close battle.
Solely because they're at home. I really do believe it's literally cross country from Boise State. I'm all the way from the northwest to the southeast, so you got the time zone shift a couple hours from that. Sluggish, jet lag.
No blue field.
No blue field. Everything's wrong. It's a disaster for Boise State. They could probably keep themselves in it, but I think UCF with the home field advantage will just run away with this one.
And I'll leave it blank for Stravinsky. But next one, North Carolina versus Virginia Tech. Here's a really good one. Virginia Tech. This is gonna be a fun. Oh, if you wanted to see Boise State and UCF, that is 7 o'clock on ESPN Thursday night. But North Carolina versus Virginia Tech. This is Friday, and this will be 6 o'clock on ESPN. Right after it will be Michigan State and Northwestern. But North Carolina versus Virginia Tech, 6 o'clock ESPN Friday night. This is going to be a really good one. I think North Carolina does have themselves a really good team. This isn't necessarily a trap game. Oh, this isn't a trap game because their next game is Georgia State. So this is just going to be a really fun one to watch. Virginia Tech is always a pain to play against, especially on the road in Blacksburg. I think Virginia Tech will give the Tar Heels a problem. But I do think that North Carolina will sneak away. They have Sam Howell's a really good quarterback. Mac Brown knows what he's doing. North Carolina's got himself another pretty good team. I expect North Carolina to slip away, but I could see Virginia Tech pulling off the upset. But I'm going to go with UNC.
Yeah, the ACC is always so scary to predict anything because it's so inconsistent with who is good and who is bad.
Except for Clemson.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to show up. Sometimes it's Virginia Tech, sometimes it's Georgia Tech, sometimes it's
Virginia.
Syracuse.
Zerbensky, I like hearing you say that.
No, that's the but it's just anybody can show up in the ACC, but obviously North Carolina, they have Mac Brown as a coach, so they have a pretty solid foundation to start off with. They're down in North Carolina. It sounds so weird to say down in North Carolina. Anyway, I think under the leadership of Mac Brown, even though it's always tricky to go into Virginia Tech. They always test Clemson. They always test the big dogs in the ACC, which I mentioned has changed every year. But Virginia Tech is always testing them, especially at home. So I think it'll be really close, but I think North Carolina will pull it off.
Yeah. So the next one, as you can see, as I'm putting in North Carolina for Sam, is LSU versus UCLA. This will be the night game along with our game of the week, which you've heard a couple times already, but it's Georgia Clemson. This will be also going on during that game. That is 8:30 on Fox Saturday night. This should be a good one as well. If you did not see, UCLA did play Hawaii in their first game, which we didn't do week 0 because there really wasn't a whole lot of good week 0 games. I mean, the most notable one was Illinois versus Nebraska, and trust me, that was awful. That was bad. Nebraska really lost to the backup quarterback for Illinois, who was a transfer from Rutgers. He was a starter for Rutgers. They got torn up by him. I think his stat line was like 12 of 15 for like 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. 154. Yeah, even worse yet. That's terrible. You should not be getting torn up by anybody from Rutgers. anybody.
Nebraska, apparently.
Yeah, like, what the heck? Yeah, 12 of 15, 124 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Art Sitkowski. That's pathetic. That's bad. But yeah, we didn't really talk about much we didn't talk about week 0 because there really was nothing to talk about. UCLA wasn't there, along with Fresno State and San Jose State, who we both talked about. But UCLA was another team that played week 0. And somebody that us Michigan fans all know about went off for the Bruins in that game, and that was Zach Charbonnet. He went absolutely crazy. 3 touchdowns in that game against Hawaii. Unbelievable night for him. And now he has another chance to prove himself as a big-time player with the UCLA, with his new team against the LSU Tigers, 16th ranked. This is going to be a really fun one. UCLA, I think, can pull off the upset, but I'm going to go safe here. I'm going to take Coach O and LSU to slip away in what should be a very close contest and a very fun one to watch. Over to you, Sam.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Exactly. So just picking it on bias here, and one of my favorites is LSU and Ed Orgeron. I love what he's done there. Brought them a championship. Obviously, they had a down year last year, but they can rise again. Maybe not fully this year, but they will be continuing to build up that team. And UCLA is just the first step of many. Just trying to build that team back up. UCLA, I think, will be a pretty decent team this year with Charbonnet leading the charge at running back. But I don't know. This is going to be it's at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. And
all right, and now we move on to our next one. We only got a few more left. We only got a few more left. We're entering the home stretch here. But we go to the next one, which is the Texas kickoff game. They just call it the Texas kickoff. I just added in games so I could fill in the space. But Texas kickoff game. Texas Tech versus Houston. These two teams are basically on the same level. I don't honestly really know much about either one of them. But Houston was not great last year. Neither was Texas Tech. This is going to be an all-out war. This will be 7 o'clock on ESPN if you want to watch it. But I'm just going to go with Texas Tech. Big 12 teams will always have great offenses. And Texas Tech is no exception. They always tend to have great players on the offensive end that end up doing some great things for them. I think that this will be a game that they'll win solely because of their offense, but Houston could win it very easily as well. Could go either way.
Yeah. The bigger games this one's going to be played at NRG Stadium, so it'll be a home game for Houston. It'll be a home game for Houston. I'll be right next door. But I think by the end of this game, I think I'm going to pick Texas Tech. And by the end of this game, Houston's head coach is going to, or by halftime of this game, Houston's head coach say, so guys, when's the flight home?
Oh, that was still. It is still great when that was said on the Final Four. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. So what's Coach saying in the locker room right now? So what time are you going home tonight?
What time is the plane take off?
I need to get to golf when I get home. All right. Oh god, that was hilarious. But
good times.
oh yeah, great times. But we enter what will be the other Chick-fil-A kickoff game. I'm not going to question it for either one of us. I think I know what we're both picking. This is Miami, Florida versus Alabama. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the picks for everybody on this list because we're all picking, obviously, one team, and that is Alabama. I don't think anybody is going to say that Alabama is not going to win this game. If they do, I would highly question their sanity. But not to say that the Hurricanes are a bad team. Don't get me wrong. Miami, Florida is a solid overall team. Alabama is way too good, and Miami, Florida, honestly has no shot at beating them. If they do, it will be probably one of the biggest upsets. But and I'd love to see it happen. I really would. I like Miami, Florida, and I don't really care for the Crimson Tide. I'd love to see them lose, but um, I think Bama just has got too much firepower. De'Ara King's coming off a torn ACL, also not helpful for Miami, Florida. So I'm taking Bama to win pretty handily in this one. 3:30 on ABC if you want to watch.
ABC and not CBS.
It's not an SEC game.
Yeah, it's sad. But I feel like Miami, Florida is almost overhyped to be something that they're not. Be way better than they are.
Like Texas and Michigan.
Yes.
Speaking of Texas, they're nice.
Putting them in the same category. I don't know what it is. Who was that quarterback from Miami this past year?
De'Ara King.
De'Ara King, yes. Oh, you mentioned him just now, didn't you?
Yeah.
I don't know why his name just slipped me. He's a good quarterback. I don't think he's as good as everybody says he is. I think everybody really just hypes up Miami in general, and they will be severely humbled this week. That's for sure.
Severely at that. But De'Ara King, I mean, he's a good quarterback. I do like him. Transferred from Houston, went to Miami, Florida. It's just questions of will he be the same player? Torn ACL obviously is not an easy thing to come from in any situation. But of course, we were talking about Texas a little bit there. And here they are. The Texas Longhorns with their new coach of Steve Sarkisian will be in Austin taking on UL Lafayette, aka Louisiana. They're called the same thing, but Louisiana. This one is in Austin, so they won't have to worry about moving out. But Louisiana, they had a really good year last year, but I'm sorry, this team is also a group of five team. This is basically the same case of like as like FAU. I mean, they had a great year, but is it really sustainable? Are they really going to do it again? I mean, in their conference, maybe, but will they beat Texas? I doubt it. I think it could be close. It could be interesting, maybe, but Texas is the much bigger school. Obviously, a much bigger pool of talent as well. I think they're overall just a much better team in general. But Texas always tends to underperform. But I'll take the Longhorns to win, I'd say, by a touchdown or more.
Give me the Raging
Cajuns. Going with the upset.
This move for Texas is just. I think that it'll be too much in their heads. I think they'll be thinking, oh wow, he's going to the SEC now, and they will overlook this versus the Raging Cajuns. And I do believe that the Cajuns that are Raging.
The Cajuns that are Raging.
I'm sorry. I do like this upset only because Texas and Ellinger and he had my name and I am now offended that he had to move on. No, I'm kidding. I'm not.
He's a Colt now.
He is Colt now, but I don't think Texas has the nor the means necessary, even though they are a bigger school. I think give the small school a chance and give them the win this time, at least from my perspective.
It would definitely be a big upset. So definitely one to watch if you want to see that. That'll be 4:30 on Fox. And here's another Fox game, and this will have Gus Johnson. Sorry for the confusion earlier. This is the Gus Johnson game. Penn State versus Wisconsin. You can see the next one is also a Big Ten matchup. But Penn State versus Wisconsin is the first one. Penn State heading to Camp Randall. A lot of good. These are two really, and obviously you can see the next one. You can see the next one throughout all of these. I've kept it that way so you can see what the next one is every time we go through. But Indiana, Iowa is also the next one on here. These are both going to be really good games. I'm going to pick, honestly, Wisconsin, though, to beat Penn State because, honestly, Wisconsin has Graham Mertz, and Mertz was really good last year. Will he continue to be that way? I don't really know. But as far as Penn State goes, they've lost pretty much most of their team. I don't really know what's left for them. And it's never easy to play at Camp Randall. Wisconsin rarely loses at Camp Randall. Other than that one year what was it, BYU that they lost to or something like that on the game-ending field goal. That was bad. But it was someone on a game-ending field goal. I forget what school it was, but it was some really tiny school that ended up beating them. Everyone's like, what the heck? But I'm going to pick Wisconsin to edge out the Nittany Lions at home.
Agreed. I couldn't tell you what's left of Penn State, honestly. It's just, I don't know, I feel like they have stayed among the rank of the top 25 just because they've been around now for a few years. And they seem like they know what they're doing recruiting-wise. You still have James Franklin, I believe, that head coach. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, okay. They still bring along some players and just, but yeah, Wisconsin's not going to lose at home. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, I think Wisconsin edging it out. Quick question. Is Jim Harbaugh still the head coach of Michigan?
Yes.
I thought he was gone for some reason. I thought they were just thinking of Lions.
Because everybody wants him gone.
Yeah, everybody does.
But no, Harbaugh is still with the Wolverines. And this is the last game before we head to Game of the Week. You can kind of already see what that is, obviously. Everybody knows what it is. But Indiana versus Iowa. This is another really good one. 17 versus 18. These last few are all ranked matchups, by the way, if you haven't noticed. Wisconsin, Penn State was 19 versus 12. Texas, Louisiana was 23-21. Bama, Miami, Florida was 14-1. So all these, I think, will be. And here's another really great one, though. Indiana heads to Iowa City. Iowa City, any Iowa team is never easy to play against. And Iowa is probably the hardest to play against. I mean, Iowa State gives people problems in Ames, but Iowa City is something else. You go to Kiffin Stadium and people will lose their mind there. Like you've seen so many upsets throughout the years there. We've seen Ohio State go down big time. Michigan, our very own Wolverines, took a tumble there. Penn State nearly took a big time tumble there. It causes problems for just about everyone, and I think Iowa is going to claim another victim. Indiana is the next one up. I think Iowa actually might be able to get a couple score lead and couple score win on the Hoosiers. Hoosiers are a good team. Michael Penix had a really good year last year, but just like Derek King, he is also coming off a torn ACL. Will he be the same? He's a great quarterback. I don't think the Hoosiers will repeat what they did last year. They might be decent, but I think a repeat of last year is not believable. I think Iowa gets the win handily.
cornfields and the aliens drawing and the signs in the cornfields, that just messes up all the other teams.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'll go with Iowa as well. Iowa's just such a tough team. At home, you never know what to expect. You can like kick a bunch of field goals and think you'll be all right, and then miss the. Well, I thought the strategy would work. Or you'll just be overconfident when you go into Iowa. When they think that Iowa's down, they really aren't down. So, Iowa's a knockdown, drag it out team, fight till the end, defense minded, slow moving offense. They're not going to hit you with the big plays. They're not going to hit you with the 90-yard touchdown passes or 90-yard touchdown runs. 85, 90-yard drives. They have 10 to 15 plays, at least in all of them. And pretty much, I don't see Indiana stopping that unless offense has to have the best game of their lives, pretty much, if they want to be able to come close to getting a win against Iowa in Iowa. But Iowa goes to 1-0. Indiana goes to 0-1.
Yeah, definitely should be a really good one. If you want to see this one, unless you're in the Big Ten area, you probably won't be able to unless you do VIP box. But it is 3:30 on the Big Ten Network. So if you guys want to stream it, go ahead. And this is the game everybody is waiting for. Game of the week, Duke's Mayo Classic. It will be at the Panthers Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. Georgia versus Clemson. This will be a all-out war. I feel like this is going to be a really good one to watch. You got Clemson's stud quarterback. I know his first name is DJ, and then I cannot pronounce the last name to save my life. And then you got Georgia with JT Daniels and company. I really feel like this is going to be a really good game to watch. Clemson could end up just blowing out Georgia. I feel like that is incredibly possible. But I think this is going to be an all-out dogfight. Georgia is going to be fighting tooth and nail. Clemson's going to be fighting tooth and nail to get themselves a big-time win. And I'm gonna say Clemson wins in a nail biter. Very, very close game. Definitely going to be one of the better games of the year. Over to you, Sam.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good game, no doubt. Clemson, however, looked very, very vulnerable against Ohio State last year. They found that, and I think Georgia's watching saying, okay, I think we got a shot. However, I'm not one to pick against Clemson almost ever, so I'm going to have to pick Clemson again. And not stray off the path too far, and not fall behind you guys too far, picking all these upsets. So, Clemson definitely in a close game. I want to watch this one so bad, but I may have to just watch the highlights. But hope we get to watch this one. So definitely the game of the week. You do not want to miss it. 7:30 ABC Saturday night.
Got Kirk Herbstreit and Kirk Herbstreit on the
Chris Fowler as well.
Yeah, Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit on the call. Should be a really good game to watch. I might be able to watch it. It depends on if our Cedar Point trip ends up happening that day. It got pushed back from last week to this Saturday. They haven't said anything about it, actually, since they told me it got moved back, because I actually asked about it, and they said, oh, yeah, it got pushed back. Oh, okay. And then I've heard nothing about it since, so I don't even know if it's still happening. But that's all for this week. We shall be coming out with a NFL episode probably soon, where we'll finally finish our off-season reviews of the divisions. We will also have another one for the MLB coming out very soon. And then after that will probably be our picks for the NFL season, which will be starting September 9th. We'll be doing all the games for the NFL. Some will be easy, some might not be, but we'll be doing all the games for the NFL. But that'll do it for both me and Sam. Hopefully, Cervensky is back the next time. If you want to see the latest video, click above me. If you want to see our other college football episodes, which will include me and Cervensky's over-unders for all the Power 5 conferences, that'll be over above Sam. If you want to subscribe, hit right in the middle. But we'll see. That's it. That's it for us. See you next time. Adios, everybody.